All right, moving on to investment planning. So, when we looked at your current portfolio, we really wanted to make sure that we put some investment recommendations in place that not only meet your future income needs for retirement, but you know, aside from your retirement goals and goals for Becky to plan for college and all the different things that you want to do throughout retirement, we want to make sure that along the way, as we invest your assets to build towards those goals, that you're actually comfortable and that the risk that you're taking is something that you're very comfortable with. So in reviewing your risk assessments, the different questionnaires that you took, each of you scored a moderately conservative investor. So what that means is we want to take on moderate to conservative risk. We don't want to take on anything too aggressive, or essentially neither of you are too comfortable with volatile markets, or seeing your portfolios fluctuate drastically. And we want to kind of minimize that bumpy ride. So in the world of investing, risk is typically measured by volatility. So from your vantage point, it's just the up and down of the market. So we know, Tyler, that you're a little bit more apprehensive about risk, so we definitely took that into account when we put together these recommendations. But we started the planning process just by identifying, what your goals are and what you two would like to accomplish. So, just in summary, these are some of the objectives that we like to work towards. So, you want to fund 100% of Becky's college. You would like to retire at age 62 and create an income stream that's about 85% of your current income. And then you'd like that to last for about 33 years, which is throughout retirement. You want to build on an addition to your home, about $20,000 worth. Mia, you'd like to open an art gallery worth about $80,000. And also, both of you would like to leave Becky with a significant inheritance. So in order to meet these goals, we've calculated that your investments will need to produce a 7.75% rate of return prior to retirement, leading up to it for the next 20 years, and throughout retirement that you'll need to maintain a 5.25%. So in the retirement and education planning sections, we provided a cash flow chart that shows all these different returns and how they pencil out in terms of where your money's coming from to meet all these goals. So we'll dive into that in a little bit. But before we get into the nitty-gritty of the numbers and the allocations, we really just want to commend you both for having such amazing goals and aspirations. Even throughout retirement, our team was very inspired by your desire to give back to the community. And Tyler, you want to contribute and donate to being a golfing mentor, and the profits from Mia's Art Gallery will leave a great legacy for the Budo family. So kudos to you both for having such wonderful aspirations. And we do see a lot in our industry when you get kind of caught up in the numbers and the math, and it's important to kind of figure out why we're really doing this, and it's nice to help you meet those goals. So we look forward to seeing those come to fruition for you. So below, we've provided you with a snapshot of your current portfolio just as it is in the specific funds that you currently have and in the allocation that you have. And you'll notice that we excluded your checking account, your money market account, savings account, your EE bonds, and the art gallery collection savings account that Mia has as well. Those accounts will actually be used towards your cash reserve. So that's why we've excluded this from your investable assets, because we'll use that for a different objective. So you'll see here all the different accounts, the dollar values, the percentage of each portfolio in terms of your overall portfolio, and those specific accounts and their rates of return. And then that attribution section on page 15 kind of shows you how important each account is and how much it attributes to the overall goal. So you'll see that your current rate of return is actually just under 6%. So it's not quite where we need it to be. And in order to get it to that 7.75%, we've made some recommendations. just changing the allocation and changing some of the current funds because they're not, geared towards meeting those goals. Just to kind of give you an example, for instance, the expected rate of return on the Haley G&I fund is 8%, and this fund makes up 11.26% of your portfolio. So it attributes to 0.9% of your total return. When you look at these total attributions, you can see that their expected return is 5.89%. So it's below your target, and these returns are not guaranteed. So very minimally, we want to make sure that we can at least get you to that goal because we know every year is not going to be a consistent 7.75%. So we'll kind of go into a stress test a little later on to show how we can plan ahead for that, just in the worst case scenario. But this is where diversification comes into play. As things kind of zig and zag over time, we want to make sure that we mitigate that risk. One, to be something that you're comfortable with, but two, to also attain that return that's necessary to meet your goals. So when we put together the recommended allocation, we had a few constraints that needed to be considered. So we did want to make sure not to create a large tax burden for you. So you'll notice that most of the changes, actually all of the changes, are in your retirement accounts, meaning in your 401ks and things like that. So anything that's sold or, has a taxable event in your investment accounts, something that's not tax sheltered like an IRA, we wanted to be conscientious of that and avoid any unnecessary tax liabilities for you or any gains we wanted to avoid realizing. So also your CDs, those do not come due for another few months. So we don't want to incur any penalties by selling you out of those early. You'll see in the retirement planning section that we've recommended some changes to where your contributions are flowing. We suggest that you add some Roth IRAs and things like that. So a whole new allocation will apply to you both, and future additions to the portfolio will also be something that will help the investment planning side and meeting those goals as well. So we also put together a chart on page 16 of the recommended allocation. And we've circled the areas that are different. So you'll notice that we're going to make some changes to both of your 401ks, to Tyler's IRA as well, to Mia's 401k, and to Mia's different IRAs. And then we also have some suggestions to open Roth IRAs for you both. So you'll notice, because everything is in those qualified accounts, that there will be no tax obligation to make those changes. And then you'll also notice that the overall return comes out to be 7.76%. So we're able to meet that goal to attain your goals. So these changes will take place in 3 months when your CDs mature, and as you can see, no changes were made to either Mia's annuity or within the joint account. So no taxable consequences will arise from these recommendations.